Hello and welcome. In this video, I would like to show you how to import results from Excel. So here we are assuming that you've just acquired Gladtidings eSchool and you have some results that you'd like to import into the system. Now, in previous videos, I showed you how to import pupil names into the system, and there we used some data from Terry Schwartz. Now here I'm going to use an example of some data from Fuede Secondary School, and I'll just demonstrate with a few classes, and then you can apply this to your own scenario. So what we have here is a list of classes. You can see at the bottom here we have a list of classes 8A all the way up to 12D. So what I've done is I've already imported the pupil names. Okay, that's one thing that you must remember, that you cannot import results if you have not yet imported the pupil names first. And if you'd like to know how to import the pupil names from Excel, you can look at the other videos that I've already done, just demonstrating how to do that. Okay, and you can see here that I was working on this data because initially what I got, for instance, for sex was this FM, FMM, and I had to translate them to female, male, and so forth. Okay, so this data has already been done, and you can see the names there, and then you have some phone numbers and all that. Now, what I would like to do is, how can we actually import these results that have already been done this way? And you might be in a situation like this. So they have the subject names there. Of course, here they're using codes, and then they have the scores for each of these subjects. They have the scores over there. So what we want to do is to import this data into the system, and we're going to go through a few steps. The first step, okay, so here's the thing. So the first step that we need is to make sure that we add the subjects. So this is assuming that you just got this system and you don't have any subjects added yet. So when we're importing pupils, the first thing we had to do was to add classes. When we want to import results, assuming that we already have the classes and the pupils, the next thing we need to do is to add the subjects. Okay, and the easiest way we can do this is simply to go for each class that we're trying to add results for, we check the subjects that are there, then we add them, and then apart from adding those subjects, we need to map subjects to classes. Okay, so for instance, if this was 8A that we are looking at over here, if this is 8A, then we need to add these subjects, maths, English, and blah blah blah, and then we need to assign these subjects to 8A. That's what we need to do. And then the third step that we need to take, is export pupils. So I'm going to show you these things, and then later, of course, I'm going to summarize it. So let's actually get started. Let's get started with this. I'm going to start with a grade 12 class to represent the seniors, and then I'm going to go to a junior class, probably going to use this M8A. Okay, those two will be enough for us to actually see how to import results. So let's start with a grade 12 class. This will be 12C. I already did for 12D, so but now we're going to go for this 12C. And this is important because in each class will be different subjects that are there. Alright, so how do we get started? First, like I said, you need to check that all these subjects that are here are already there in the system. So you can see we have math, we have English, we have biology, science, civic education, home management, literature and English, RE, and art. Okay, these are the subjects that are in this class. So we already have our GTS system running here with the pupils already done. So if you click here, active pupil, you can see there are already pupils there, and we already have, if you go there, we already have the classes, and I added a few subjects that I found under 12D. But now notice that, of course, I'm looking at all the subjects, and right now these are filtered. So let me just remove this filter. You can see that some of the subjects here belong to junior, like this English is junior, this is a junior subject, and so forth. We want to add senior subjects for now, because we're dealing with 12C, so grade 12, that's a grade 12 class, so it's senior. Math is already there, so on this, so let me do this. Here on the section, I'm going to filter that. I only want to look at the senior ones. I don't want to see the junior ones. So you can see that math is already there, RIE, science, geography, English, civic education, and biology. So which ones are missing here? Up there you can see we have math, we have English, we have biology, that's already there, science is already there, civic education is there, home management is not there. Now on Gladtidings, we are trying to, with Gladtidings we're trying to unify the way the subjects are named. So when you're adding these subjects to your desktop system, we advise that you go online to our online system and then you look at the subject names that are there. Okay, look at the subject names that are there, and then use those names that you can actually see online, because that's what we want you to do. Okay, so here where it says so you'd go to admin, and then when you go to admin, then you go to subject names, so which is this one here, and then it's going to show you this list. So here we've got names of the subjects and their codes. This you can ignore this, because this was how different schools had named some of these subjects previously, but what you're focusing on are these two columns here. Alright, so the subject you're looking for is home management. You simply scroll down to H. There should be home management somewhere there, this one. So you simply click in here, and then we're going to use that same code. So we click there, and we come here to our desktop system. You click on the plus sign, this one here. Okay, you click on the plus sign, then you can add a new record there. Now notice that I've included a subject ID. So initially when you are doing this, okay, in fact let me just show you from the beginning. So I remove this. If I click subject, so let me remove this column. When you start this program the first time, you'll probably be seeing subjects list like this, so you're only seeing the subject name and so forth. But later on I'll show you why it is important to show the subject ID, because we'll actually need it. So first of all, we're adding subjects, right? And we want to add home management. So I said you click on the plus sign, and that's what we'll do. I click on the plus sign, and then I paste the name which I just got, and the code we know it's HM, and then on the section select senior, and you're done. Okay, let's check if there's any other subject that we want to add. So we go back here. Home literature and English is not there, so we go to our online system. Here we look for literature and English, which is here literature and English is there, so we copy that, and then of course if you go online and you don't find your subject, you could actually add a new one. You can add a new one. You just click new, and then you can add a new subject, but please make sure that you follow this style, where the subject has small letters. They are using lowercase, of course. You only capitalize the first letter, and then only the codes should be in capital letters. Alright, so we've copied literature and English. We come to our desktop system, we paste the name there, and then we check what's the code that is being used for LA. It's LTE. I can just copy this whole thing like that, so paste that there, and then I'll say senior, and I'll save this. But let's check this one more before I save. I can check for one more actually. So we also, RE is already there, but art is not there. So we go back to our okay, so yes, so the one that we want to pick to add now is art. So art is here. It's called art and design, so just copy that and then click the add, paste it there, and the code is art, like that, and we say senior. Of course later on when we deal with the junior class, we might have to add the same names again. Okay, so if you know that this is there at both senior and junior, then you might as well just add another one, and for example I would paste the same art, and then I say at there, and then I can say junior. So you don't need to do one at a time. So you can already do this like the same at, you add it twice, but for different sections. Alright, and then I simply say save. Okay, so now we have these subjects that we need for 12. This is 12C that we want to add results for. Okay, so that is your first step. Add the subjects that you need. Now in the next step, I'm going to show you we have a template for adding these subjects, and the template follow this style. So I'll show you an example of what we've already done for 12D. The template uses these columns. You need the pupil ID, you need the subject ID, you need the score, the year, the term, the class ID, and the school ID. Okay, there. These are the things that you need. The pupil ID, the subject ID, the score, the year, the term, the class ID, and the school ID. Those are the ones that you need in your template. And as always, you need to present this data in a way that it is one list of everything, not the way it is right now. You see, the way it is in this format, you cannot submit it, you cannot import it into the system, because this math, we don't know what ID this subject is using, we don't know what that is using, and you know, the system has to sort of you know, so in other words, let me just say that you cannot import this data the way it is right now. It is not in a proper format that it can be imported. So what you need to do is you need to have like one particular record for each subject. So you have a pupil, you have so you have a pupil's ID, then you have their score, and then you need to have the subject ID, and then which class it is, and which school, and which term, and which year. This is what we have here. So you can see this example that we've done for 12D. So you have say this Banda Elimas. There's the ID of the pupil, the subject ID. This is mathematics, and this person didn't have any score for 2019 term 1. The class they're in is 12D, and that is the school ID. So if you just installed the Gladtidings school system, and you know that there's only one record of your school, then always the school ID is going to be 1. So this one you don't need to worry about it. Okay. So how do you help yourself generate this? Now this is where you really need to pay attention, and I'm going to show you this in the next video. How do you export the list of pupils that you have for a particular class, so that you can actually specify the results for them, or copy the results that you have in Excel and map them to the pupils? That will be the next video. For now, we're going to end here.